Hello there, Mad Mike here, and welcome back to the channel. And today we are going to talk about the cast for the new Super Mario Brothers movie. Now, before we get into this, I do want to specify this is an animated film. We are not doing another live-action Mario Brothers movie. I think Hollywood at least learned their lesson a little bit the first time around. But this is going to be a full movie. There is a full voice cast that is listed, and I'm going to go over some of the people that are going to be voicing some of the more prominent characters, i.e., Mario, Luigi, Princess Peach, Bowser, etc. Um, so we're going to start right at the top, and this is kind of going in alphabetical order, sort of, but we'll start with the big man himself. We'll start with Mario, and Mario is being voiced by Chris Pratt. Now, a lot of people might question that a little bit. I'm not sure how well he can do a Mario. But the thing is that Chris Pratt does know how to voice act because he has done voice work before. So he's not really too much of a newcomer to this. He did voice work for the Lego Movie. He also did voice work recently for Disney's Onward, which was done by Pixar. Um, so he's not a newcomer to voice work, at least not too much. He knows what he's doing to a relative extent. He's a funny guy. He has good timing. I just don't necessarily know the problem is that a lot of the Nintendo characters are relatively, they're not overly complex characters. Let's put it that way. They're not characters that you have to deal with a lot of the time outside of their elements. So to have such a broad cast doing this is kind of weird to me, just because you could probably get the people that do them in the games, and it would have not only been cheaper, but probably would have been easier to do. But I understand why they do certain things like this. It's because they want a lot of hype for the movie. They want names behind it. They want names that people know, and Chris Pratt is a name that people know, as well as a lot of other people on this cast. So, like I said, I don't really have a problem with the Mario casting. I think he's probably good. Um, Anya Taylor-Joy is Princess Peach. That's another one that's kind of that's a little odd to me. I know she doesn't have a whole lot of voice acting background, but she is a hot name right now, which I understand as to why they wanted to bring her in for that. Currently, or not currently, but previously, she did the miniseries. I believe it was for Netflix, which is called The Queen's Gambit, which was kind of based around chess. But I know she got a lot of buzz because of that. She was also in New Mutants, which was something I'm sure she probably would rather have buried at this point. But she's been getting picked up for a lot of other projects because of Queen's Gambit, so I understand why they picked her up for this. Again, not overly complex of a character, so I could imagine that she'll probably do an alright job. Now, this is the one that I actually thought was probably a really good choice, which is Charlie Day as Luigi. Um, Charlie Day can really do that kind of squirrely guy. Like maybe best example would be like Steve Buscemi in like the 90s. Like a lot of those like tweaked out like squirrely guys that like run around and do stuff and basically are kind of like afraid of everything. I feel like he can do that well, which is kind of what Luigi is kind of. He's not as brave as his older brother Mario. So Charlie Day can do kind of freaked out, like weird, sort of weird, and we've seen that a lot on Always Sunny in Philadelphia too. He has a lot of comedy experience. Um, as for his voice work, though, there's a few things that are sprinkled in there. He also worked with Chris Pratt doing the Lego Movie. Um, and he has a few other voice credits that he has to his name, but not an overly a lot. No, not too much. Some video game work as well mixed in there. But the thing is, I think he can play the character. It's just whether or not he can do the learning curve for the voice work, which I think that he can. I think he's been around enough and he knows what he's doing enough where I think he can probably swing it. Now that this next one I thought was kind of weird is Jack Black as Bowser. Um, when I see Jack Black, I don't think Bowser. That's definitely not the first character that comes to mind, especially in the Mario universe. I could have seen him playing Mario, or maybe something else like that, or Wario even. Wario would have been probably fucking amazing with him. Um, I don't know. Like, I still think he'll do a good job. Again, I know he's done a lot of voice work. He's done voice work for video games and stuff in the past too, such as like Brutal Legend and stuff like that. But I'd be very curious to see what his interpretation of Bowser is, because usually, I talked about this a little bit when we were talking about the Borderlands film that he's going to be a part of, where he's going to be playing Claptrap, and I thought that was a perfect casting. And it's kind of because Jack Black can go from 0 to 100 in like a millisecond. He can go from like calm to basically like screaming his head off and just going insane in like half a second. And that's really what Claptrap does very well. Now, Bowser, on the other hand, kind of does that, but he's also supposed to be somewhat intimidating. And I'd be very curious to see what Jack Black does with that. Like, I can't really judge it too much because he does have a lot of voice experience. So I'm more just curious how he's going to take the role. If he takes it a little bit too corny and a little too high-pitched and high-end, I'm probably going to be like, maybe he should have toned it back a little bit. But if he does a good job, again, we'll more or less see in the trailer, but I don't really have too much of a problem with that. Now we're going to move down to some of these other ones. Seth Rogen as Donkey Kong. Who the fuck made that casting? I'm sorry. Seth Rogen does not scream Donkey Kong to me. I don't like. I've seen Seth Rogen do voice work. He has done voice work before, so I can't say that he hasn't done stuff like that. I loved him in Sausage Party. I thought that was hilarious, but he was basically just playing himself. And I think that's where Seth Rogen kind of does his best work, is when he's just playing himself, which is a goofy stoner. If you give him stuff that's more complex than that, it's hit or miss. Like, sometimes he'll hit stuff. I mean, he was in the I think he did a relatively good job when he was doing the Steve Jobs biopic. I think he played the guy that Steve Jobs fucked over, or at least one of them. But I mean, he can do dramatic roles on occasion, but at the same time, he's best when he's doing the stoner comedies, because that's when he has his best stuff. That's when he writes his best stuff. That's when he acts his best, because he's really not acting all that much. But Donkey Kong as a voice, I mean, I would think Jack Black would probably be a better voice for Donkey Kong than Seth Rogen. So that one's very weird to me. I don't understand really why he was cast in that role, unless he's also has a production credit on this movie, but I do not believe that he does. Then the other one that's kind of a little bit odd to me is Keegan-Michael Key as Toad. Now, Toad does not do a lot of talking in the games. And I don't remember offhand if he did a lot of talking in the old television show or any of that stuff. He was in the movie, I know, for a bit, but he wouldn't really stick around that long. But Keegan-Michael Key is really known for the fast-talking quippiness. That's really a lot of what his comedy relies on, is a lot of that kind of semi-ad-libbing, like, comedy where he's kind of very high energy. I don't know if I ever really thought of that as being kind of conducive to Toad. Toad just always kind of seemed like a character who was just sort of there. Like, he's there to represent the Mushroom Kingdom. Like, that's why that character exists. And to kind of help out Mario and Luigi and various other characters when they get into jams and stuff like that, and to pop up at various points in the games and give Mario and Luigi some directions. So it doesn't really make a whole lot of sense why you have the fast-talking dude doing this. So I'm kind of curious about that one. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me, but it's at least, I would be very curious to see fast-talking Toad. Again, I'm not going to know a lot of how these guys are going to wind up approaching these characters until I actually see a trailer with them speaking in it. So we're a long way off from that. Again, this is just the initial cast announcement. As for the directors of this movie, we have Aaron Horvath, who is a veteran of a lot of animated things. Oh, God, he wrote a live-action Naruto. Please, God, no. But as far as directing credits go, Super Mario Brothers, the movie, which is yet to come out, Teen Titans Go and Teen Titans Go to the movies, and some episodes of Mad. So a lot of television, a little bit of movie stuff, and he is one of the directors. This is a directing team, and the other one is Michael Jelenic. And he has only directed one episode of Teen Titans Go and this movie. So yeah, it's the first guy has a bit more experience than the second guy. I'll admit that, and they probably worked together because they both worked on the same show. But this is going to be interesting. I don't know how this is going to turn out offhand, but this is a very mixed bag. First off, especially with the directing talent that you're using. Um, and I'd be very curious to how they're actually going to wind up approaching these characters. But I want to know what you guys think. Do you like the cast? Do you not like the cast? I didn't mention all of them here. I only tried to mention the major ones with major actors and major characters. But put below any other ones that you kind of either have a disagreement with or that you agree with. Any of that stuff. If you're excited for the movie, if you're not, put that in the comments below as usual. I like to read them. Hit the bell for notifications. Hit the like button, subscribe, and remember, I live my life free of compromise. Do you?